PMS, pregnancy, menopause. Being a woman is a lot. Ollie supports you and yours with expert solutions for every age and life stage. They just launched 2 new products exclusively at Walmart. Period Hero combats bloat, mood swings, and more during PMS. And Balance Perimeno to support hormonal balance, mood, and metabolism during perimenopause. Grab yours at ollie.com.
Ollie!
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. You know, this occurred to me this afternoon. I wonder how Hillary Clinton felt when she realized that Jill Biden had gotten to be president and she hadn't. Do you remember Charles McGonigal? He was the special agent in charge of the FBI's counterintelligence division in New York. He was a major player in the orchestration of the Russian collusion hoax. And in 2023, he himself was charged and convicted on 2 major federal offenses. He was charged specifically with violating U.S. sanctions on Russia because McGonigal conspired to provide services to Oleg Deripaska, a sanctioned Russian oligarch. He attempted to investigate a rival oligarch on Deripaska's behalf and sought to have Deripaska removed from the U.S. sanctions list, where he remains even today. For this, he was sentenced to a mere 50 months in prison. And he was also charged with concealing foreign payments. In other words, he was taking a bribe. In a separate case, McGonigal failed to disclose that he took about $225,000 from a former Albanian intelligence officer while still employed by the FBI. McGonigal used these funds to foster relationships in Albania for potential future business opportunities. This led him to an additional mere 28-month prison sentence. Well, there's bad news for Charles McGonigal. His ex-mistress, Alison Guerrero, came public today and filed for whistleblower protection from Senator Grassley and also from all the appropriate offices in the U.S. government. She says she has overwhelming evidence that McGonigal engaged in espionage, a far more serious offense, and my sources tell me the FBI is opening a new investigation of their former colleague. You heard it here first in the Stone Zone. President Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin today and spoke of the details of their call. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Putin of Russia, said President Trump. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that had been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and said very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on his airfields. I noted in yesterday's show that the European countries were already predicting that Russia's response to this unprecedented attack on their nuclear capability will be disproportionate. I would say it was Ukraine's attack on the eve of a peace talk after 2 U.S. senators visited with him, Lindsey Graham and Dick Blumenthal. You know him, the senator from Connecticut who lied about serving in combat in Vietnam. And we now know the President of the United States was not informed in advance of this unprecedented attack. This attack was clearly designed to try to disturb the peace talks, and indeed the peace talks in Turkey, where our U.S. Ambassador Tom Barrack is representing the United States along with others, as well as the President of Turkey, Erdogan, who is graciously hosting the talks. The talks lasted a mere 45 minutes. Did not sound like they made much progress. On Sunday, of course, the Ukrainian forces destroyed a reported 40 of Russia's most powerful bomber jets and surveillance planes using a series of coordinated drone strikes that penetrated deep into Russian territory and struck 5 different airfields. President Trump went into detail regarding his conversation with the Russian leader. Trump said, "We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we are in agreement," said President Trump. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran, that he could, perhaps, be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. That's what's called statescraft. This is where the president is using his relationship with Putin to try to leverage a successful conclusion with Iran. Just to be clear, the president is not opposed to the Iranians having a nuclear capability to produce electricity, but he is absolutely opposed to them having the ability to enrich uranium in order to build bombs. Contrast this with the Obama administration position carried out in Obama's 3rd term under Joe Biden, where somehow they believed that Iran having a nuclear capability, a bomb, made for a more stable region. You have to wonder. Meanwhile, 2 Chinese nationals have been charged with smuggling into the United States a fungus called Fusarium graminearum, pardon me for my poor Latin, which scientific literature classifies as a potential agro-terrorism weapon. Yongin Jian, 33, and Zongyang Liu, 34, were charged with conspiracy, smuggling, false statements, visa fraud, and additional crimes by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Michigan. The Justice Department said the fungus the pair conspired to smuggle in causes head blight, a disease of wheat, barley, corn, and rice. In other words, it is designed to destroy our food systems, our food, our farmers, and our food production. The fungus is what they call an agro-terrorism weapon. Could cost billions of dollars in losses every year to this country. It causes vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive defects in humans and livestock, so it is also a poison. In July 2024, Liu was turned away at the Detroit airport and sent back to China after changing his story during an interrogation about red plant material discovered in his backpack. He initially claimed ignorance about the samples, but later said he was planning to use the material for research at the University of Michigan lab where he worked and where his co-conspirator Liu had also worked. Messages between the two of them in 2024 suggest that Jian was already tending to this deadly substance at the campus lab before Liu was caught at the Detroit airport. In other words, they had already smuggled it in on a previous occasion. The university does not have federal permits to have or deal with or study this material, which is required. U.S. Attorney Jerome Gorgon described the smuggling of the fungus in the United States as a national security concern and emphasized that both of those arrested are members of the Chinese Communist Party. These 2 aliens have been charged with smuggling a fungus that has been described as a potential agro-terrorism weapon into the heartland of America, where they apparently intended to use it at the University of Michigan laboratory to further their nefarious plot. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who I must tell you has impressed me incredibly in terms of the job he's doing as Secretary of State, vowed last week to aggressively revoke visas for any Chinese student, many of whom have been caught acting as spies and agents for China, engaging in such activities. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's mass deportation plans appear to have accelerated in May, with Immigration and Customs Enforcement flying more removal flights than in any other month since Trump took office. The latest government data shows that the number of daily deportees averaged about 850 per day in the first 2 weeks of May, following a gradual climb since early March. The increased pace of ICE removal flights through the month suggests that deportation numbers could continue to trend upward in June. ICE conducted 190 deportation flights in May, more than any other month since September of 2021, and 1,083 total flights, including domestic transfers and returns from deportations, more than any other month since at least the first Trump administration. It's about time. Immigration arrests spiked immediately after Mr. Trump took office, but deportations have remained relatively flat because of a drop in the number of people apprehended at the border. The Trump administration has rolled back Biden-era protections for many illegal aliens, expanding who is eligible and therefore targeted for deportation. ICE has also pursued new enforcement tactics, including arresting people at routine check-ins and at immigration courts. The top destination for ICE removals remain in Central America as well as Mexico. 2 removal flights a week are now regularly traveling to Venezuela after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, under pressure from President Trump, agreed to accept deportees after a year refusing to take any of his own nationals when Biden was in office. People don't realize this, but Barack Obama deported 2.9 million illegals from the country during his presidency. No one criticized him for that. There will be harsh criticism of Donald Trump for enforcing the law. For some reason, today's Democrat Party seems to be more concerned about the rights and comfort of illegals who are in this country, receiving benefits illegally, taking jobs from Americans illegally, and in some cases endangering the lives and security of Americans than they are in the middle class, hardworking American taxpayer. It's very, very hard to understand. Meanwhile, after weeks of Democrats making false claims that the new congressional spending bill will cut services like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, President Trump, and I spoke to him about this, finally hit back. So many false statements are being made about the one big, beautiful bill, but what nobody understands is it's by far the biggest spending cut so far in history. But there will be, and this is important, no cuts in Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. In fact, they will be saved from the incompetence of the Democrats who've totally lost their confidence and their way. This is like the bloody shirt. Every 2 or 4 years, the Democrats will warn you that those nasty, villainous Republicans are going to cut Social Security. It has never been true. It has never been true in Donald Trump's case. He's opposed cuts in Social Security and Medicare since getting into the political arena. It's in every one of his public policy books, including The America We Deserve. It is a MacGuffin. It is a canard. It is a lie. You're in the Stone Zone. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more. Is there another pandemic coming our way? I have a prominent doctor, Stella Emmanuel, believes there is. She joins us shortly. Whatever you do, don't go away.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back in the zone. One of the leading prosecutors of the January 6th protesters has resigned from the Department of Justice. Assistant U.S. Attorney Greg Rosen, who led the DOJ's Capitol Siege section, has left the DOJ and now works at a prominent D.C. law firm. Rosen was one of the many prosecutors who worked tirelessly to harass, persecute, and ultimately imprison around 1,500 individuals protesting the widespread fraud that tainted the 2020 presidential election. In an interview with CBS News, Rosen complained that President Trump's decision to pardon all of those involved, he said that it sent a terrible message to the American people. Here's what I suggest. Speaker Mike Johnson needs to appoint a committee to study the January 6th committee and their investigation. And the very first subpoena I would send would be to former U.S. Attorney Greg Rosen, because I can think of a number of questions I'd like to ask him under oath, since he investigated the events of that day. The giant metal doors that are almost a story high in the Capitol that can only be opened electronically from the inside. Attorney General Rosen, Assistant Attorney General Rosen, can you tell us who opened those doors? That's just one of the many questions. How many FBI agents were in the crowd? How many Department of Homeland Security agents were in the crowd? We can never get answers about these questions. What the Democrats don't understand is that the American people are no longer buying the idea that this entire crowd, not a single one of whom was armed, that this was an insurrection. As my friends over at Revolver News correctly say, it was a Fed-surrection. And we still have not seen the full involvement of the Capitol Hill Police, Nancy Pelosi, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and others in the events of that day. And by the way, while we're at it, who placed the pipe bomb outside the Democrat National Committee? Evidently, there's one also placed outside the Republican National Committee. Yet the American people have no answers. We know that Vice President Kamala Harris was dangerously close to that pipe bomb. Yet we have no answers as to who placed it and why. Although the new FBI director, Kash Patel, said in an interview days ago that they are nearing having an answer. Thank God, since taking back the White House in January, the Trump DOJ has worked to remove the corrupt prosecutors working on the direction of former Attorney General Merrick Garland to lock away Trump supporters for as long as humanly possible. So God bless President Trump for justice in this matter, and God bless those innocent people who did nothing wrong other than protest on January 6th. You're in the Stone Zone, and we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. You're back in the Stone Zone. I've just received some terrific news by text. My own son, 44 years old, a law enforcement officer, has emerged from open heart surgery in Boston for the repair of a valve. His surgery was entirely successful, and he's going to be fine. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Now I'm going to bring in one of my favorite people in the entire world. Dr. Stella Emmanuel is a Cameroonian-American physician currently practicing medicine in Houston, Texas. Dr. Stella did her general medicine practice in Nigeria, then migrated to America to complete her residency, becoming a licensed physician here. She's been in the forefront of those who advocated for early treatment of COVID-19 with hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and now she's back with shocking warning of a new potential pandemic. I should also mention that Dr. Stella is a minister of the Lord. She's an apostle for Jesus Christ. She's the founder of the Firepower Ministries, and she is always a delight because she's an optimist and she is a warrior. Dr. Stella, welcome to the Stone Zone.
Hello, Roger. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you for having me. It's I guess it's an exciting day to be talking to you, but of course, right now we need to keep standing and fighting for our people because the battle is not gone yet, you know?
No, you're absolutely right. Many people who think as you and I do believe that because President Trump is back in the White House that all of our problems are solved, and that isn't even close to being true. I want to focus off the top, however, on a very compelling social media post that you put up the other day, and you, in a way, you pointed out that the so-called 201, the Biodefense Commission, foretold us about COVID-19. Now you say the next agent of choice for a national pandemic is Nipah virus. You predict that this will come on the 4th of July, but the good news is that you are on top of it. Tell us about this virus.
Yeah, so basically I came across a post that I came across it. I don't know what I was looking for online. Somebody posted it on another this platform about a pandemic preparedness, actually, that they were trying to do because they had tried it, you know, they were trying to do this pandemic preparedness. And then it reminded me of Event 201, because, you know, with Event 201, a lot of us, they went through the whole thing about how COVID was going to happen and exactly what's going to happen to COVID. And it came to happen. So I was panicked in a little bit, like, you know what? They are exactly telling us what's going to happen again. And we need to wake up. So their agent of choice right now is they had a Biodefense Commission. That's a bipartisan commission that met in 2024. And then they created this whole scenario where there was going to have a biological attack, you know, a terrorist attack that's going to be biological. It's going to happen. Their date of choice was July 4, 2025. And their agent of choice was Nipah virus. And it's a little scary because Nipah virus is not like COVID. Nipah virus is more infectious than COVID and more deadly. Nipah virus has actually 40% death rate. It's a zoonotic infection. That means it transmits from animal to humans. So they put this out, and then so I went, of course, to dig into it to find out what's happening. What do you do about Nipah virus? How do you survive Nipah virus? What is the symptoms? What are the symptoms of Nipah virus? Like I would say, the symptoms are just the same like flu-like symptoms, like headache, cough, sore throat, you know, and then it can develop into neurological complications, brain inflammations, encephalitis, confusion. People can go into coma, and it has a 40% death rate. So I told the American people, we need to be prepared, but Nipah virus is a single-stranded RNA virus. So I don't say this to scare people, but when we hear about these things, I tell people it's better to be prepared. Nipah virus is a single-stranded RNA virus. Single-stranded RNA viruses, there are many studies, and you can just Google it. You will see studies in the NIH that they've done about it. Single-stranded RNA viruses are sensitive to zinc. Zinc needs a transport system to get into the cell. So that is why it is good to take zinc with a transport system like quercetin, elderberry, ECGC. You should take supplements with zinc and a transport system, to get into your cell and help you deal with viruses, not just Nipah virus, COVID, flu, bird flu, Zika, all these, RSV, they are all RNA viruses, and you can build your immunity towards them. Measles, you can build your immunity towards them by making sure that your body has adequate zinc. The regular population, about 25% of the population is zinc deficient because, like I said, zinc needs a transport system, and our food supply has been so messed up that we don't get enough of these nutrients to be able to get us to absorb zinc properly. So that is the first thing I'll tell people. The second thing I'll tell people is that get hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin into your medicine cabinet. They are broad-spectrum antivirals, and they also can treat all these RNA viruses. Third thing I'll tell people is that get your family ready and prepared, because not just this whole idea of there might be a Nipah virus pandemic, but they already have a new COVID variant that is coming in the summer, and we're already seeing people getting sick. They have Moderna was given $590 million in December to produce a new vaccine for bird flu, and now they already have a new vaccine for COVID. So everything that they are doing is about making sure that we get injected with the mRNA operating system. How would you stop getting scared about it? Is if you make sure you build your immune system. Roger, we are in the Third World War. Third World War not fought with bombs and guns, although right now I'm thinking that bombs and guns are about to join the war. But the Third World War that we've been fighting right now is not with bombs and guns, but with vaccines, viruses, environmental pollutants, food pollutants, and just destroying our food supply and injecting things into our food that makes us unhealthy. Over the past 5 years, many people had COVID. If you didn't have COVID, some people took the vaccine. If you didn't take the vaccine, you didn't have COVID, you were shedded upon. And because of that, many people have some sort of spike protein disease that has messed up with their immune system. So what we've been doing, what my mission right now to the American people is twofold. Number one, every American needs to have hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin in their medicine cabinet. I am so thankful. Today, while I was waiting to come to talk to you, I received a text from one of my pharmacy friends. Louisiana just passed a law that ivermectin can be, it just passed the House that ivermectin can become over-the-counter. We're fighting for it in Texas. Arkansas has passed it, and I think 2 other states. I'm hoping this will get more and more, and we'll, at least by the time we have about 15 states that have ivermectin over-the-counter, at least everybody in America can have access over-the-counter because they can just send money to a friend in any of these states to buy it for them or travel there. So that's one thing we're advocating all over the country right now, to bring ivermectin over-the-counter like it is over-the-counter in many nations. If that happens, many American people will have a fighting chance. But if before that happens, I advise everybody get hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin in your medicine cabinet. If you cannot get it from your doctor, go to our website, make a telemedicine appointment, drstellamd.com. We will send it to your house in all 50 states. And of course, if you use Stone Zone on our website, you get a discount. So that is the first thing I'm telling people. I know because people call me at 2, 3 a.m. after they're already sick, or call me on Sunday to come get them out of the hospital. You won't believe it, Roger. Right now, in the hospitals, their whole thing about COVID is still about giving them remdesivir. They have not changed the protocols in the hospitals. They have not changed how they treat it. The government has not acknowledged the fact that these medicines work, even though there are over 100 studies right now that show that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin works. Because if they acknowledge that, that will mean that they cannot push their mRNA operating system jab, which they call what we call. So that is the first thing I'll tell people. Make sure you have it in your medicine cabinet. Yes, the second thing I will advise the American people to do is to make sure that you're taking one of the nutraceuticals that has a zinc transport system. If you go on our website on drstellamd.com, you click on the marketplace, you will see something that says supplements with zinc transport system. Click on that. Some people get your children on gummies. People are taking Covilite. You know how you love Covilite, Roger.
Yes, great
they
product.
all have vitamin C, D, zinc, and quercetin. You understand? Or elderberry, or ECGC, or some sort of zinc transport system. Make sure you're taking those nutraceuticals, because if you do, you will build your immune system and against a lot of these viruses. I'm telling people right now, we need to go back. That's one of the things that has happened for me in the past 5 years is I've transcended from just being a physician that cuts and writes prescription to really looking at natural medicine, looking at nutraceuticals, looking at other things, nutrition, that can help people survive some of the things that have happened to us or that will continue to happen to us. So that is my mantra right now. That's what I'm screaming from the rooftop. They are not stopping these vaccines. Everybody are still getting it. They are still pushing the boosters. Robert Kennedy is talking about, you need to take dyes out of our Fruit Loops. It is great. Let's make Fruit Loops great again. But that is not the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that they are still injecting people with the mRNA vaccine. They are still giving it to our children. They came up with some posts about CDC says they will not recommend it to healthy children. But they are still healthy children. Unhealthy children is really, really broad. That means they can still make your child with asthma get the shot and all kinds of stuff like that. So they are still injecting these shots that are deadly. People are still taking boosters, and they need to stop it. And until that happens, we're on our own in this battle. So that is why I'm screaming from the rooftop. Just please try to get you and your family protected by getting the right nutraceuticals, get the right medicines in your medicine cabinet. When you're prepared, you will not be scared.
Yeah, the government's efforts to discredit ivermectin are one of the greatest disgraces of all time. You see, under federal law, if there is an oral medication that treats a specific malady, then you can't have a vaccination for it. The man who invented ivermectin won a Nobel Prize for it. I have just finished reading a number of studies about the effectiveness of ivermectin in the treatment of cancer. I am not a physician. I'm not giving anyone medical advice, but I can tell you that ivermectin was a crucial component of my wife's own anti-cancer protocol. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer almost 4 years ago. To this day, she is cancer-free. I attribute the right treatments, including ivermectin. It is an incredible drug, and the idea that it is available over the counter, which I was unaware of, or is in some states and will be hopefully in others, is excellent news, because when I tell people, when I proselytize about ivermectin, they ask me, how do I get it, where do I get it, and so on. This would be a giant breakthrough. You also mentioned zinc. Zinc makes the absorption of vitamin C more efficient, more effective. Zinc is particularly important for men in terms of our plumbing. It is an incredibly important natural supplement, but don't take it on an empty stomach, because it will upset your stomach. What you say is absolutely true. Dr. Stella, are they including the mRNA in, say, the flu vaccination when you go to a drugstore and get it?
In fact, the Pfizer's CEO said that many other vaccines right now are going to become mRNA. Do you know what I'm saying? And in fact, USDA was given $1 billion to mitigate bird flu, and part of the mitigation was going to include mRNA vaccines for chicken. Do you know what I'm saying? So they are trying very much to make sure that everybody gets exposed to this mRNA, vaccine thing. So, and many of our other vaccines are being converted to mRNA without informing the public. So make sure. So I don't even know why people take flu vaccines. They don't work. Do you know what I'm saying? And the way flu vaccines are made, even the old flu vaccines, thank God I've never taken it. It's like they predict the current flu strains from last year's strain, and most of the time they don't really work, and people get very sick from it. Why? What do you need a flu vaccine for? You don't need it, because you can build your immunity. Flu is an RNA virus. It is sensitive to zinc, vitamin C, D, zinc, and quercetin. Why? This is the issue with zinc. You said something about when you take zinc, it can disturb your stomach. It's because a lot of people are taking large quantities of zinc. What we do right now is our zinc, we have we don't put 50 milligrams of zinc. We try to keep our zinc below 20 milligrams, and then we put it with other supplements. Like we have zinc in Covilight, we have zinc in many other supplements, and it doesn't hurt your stomach because it's not a massive amount. People have to be careful about taking massive amounts of zinc, because it can affect absorption of copper, can cause anemia. So if our supplements are built to give you an adequate amount of zinc without it being too much to cause other problems, our supplements are produced to give you the adequate amount of quercetin, because anything that you take too much of can cause problems. So if you go to drstellamd.com, you click on the marketplace, you will see something called supplements with zinc. all of them, they are gummies for children. People that take COVID, like people that take other things. There are people. We did something called COVID sleep. So for people that are having sleep disorder, we have vitamin C, zinc, and quercetin with just 5 milligrams of zinc. But it has ashwagandha, it has melatonin. So if you're having sleep disorder, you can take that at night and you still have your viral immune. There are studies, you can just Google this. There are studies about zinc and viruses. But like I said, zinc needs a transport system. 25% of our population is zinc deficient. So that is why we need to take it in the adequate amounts. Don't take it too much. If it's not in your stomach, you're probably taking too much of it. So that's what we're telling the American people. These things are easy for us to take, easy for us to build immunity, easy for us to be able to survive some of these things that are happening. And Roger, I tell people all the time, don't be scared, be prepared. The reason why a lot of people are scared is because they are not prepared. If you are prepared, you will not be scared. If you have the right thing in your home, in your family, then you will not be scared. So that is all I'll tell people. Don't be scared, be prepared. And that is why we do what we do.
All right, we have to leave it there. You can find Dr. Stella Emmanuel at drstellamd.com, drstellamd.com. Forewarned is forearmed. She's made it very clear that you can be prepared with ivermectin, with vitamin C, with vitamin D, zinc, hydroxychloroquine. She is a physician. I'm not a physician. She knows what she's talking about. I love you, Stella. You are the best. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Stone Zone.
The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Stone Zone on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back in the zone. You know, there's nothing faker than the fake news. And unfortunately, the fake news permeates social media. On June 3rd, I posted an observation in which I said, if Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator Richard Blumenthal met with Ukrainian President Zelensky and urged him not to negotiate for peace, they would be in violation of the Logan Act. The Logan Act prohibits U.S. citizens from having their own personal foreign policy and acting against the foreign policy of the country, which is dictated by the elected President of the United States. By the way, U.S. senators are not immune from prosecution under the Logan Act if they undertook such activity. I wasn't in the room. I don't know what was said. Now I see all over X, formerly known as Twitter, a flat statement that says Roger Stone accused Lindsey Graham of violating the Logan Act, which is not what I said. Go back and look at my post of June 3rd. So incredibly typical. They have announced formal funeral proceedings for the late New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik. That will be this Friday, the 6th, at St. Patrick's Cathedral at 10 o'clock in the morning. The people of the world are invited. Bernard Kerik was, without any question, the single bravest man I have ever known. He was courageous. He was relentless. He was a patriot. And he had some personal problems, but they should not blur his enormous accomplishments during his time serving the American people, and specifically the people of New York. First, there is his leadership during the 9/11 attacks. He was the commissioner on 9/11. He led the police response, overseeing the rescue and recovery operations at Ground Zero, which rightfully earned him widespread recognition as a fearless leader who helped guide New York City through one of its darkest moments. His actions, along with the greatest mayor in New York City history, Rudy Giuliani, were pivotal in stabilizing the city post-attack. Beyond that, Bernie Kerik was responsible for reforming the New York State Department of Corrections. Before he was a police commissioner, he was the commissioner of New York City's Department of Corrections from 1998 to 2000, and he is rightfully credited with transforming one of the nation's most dangerous correctional systems, including Rikers Island, into a safer and far more efficient operation. His leadership reduced violence in the jails and improved management of the jail system, which houses over 18,000 inmates at any one given time. Then there is the question of his personal bravery. Over the nearly two-decade career with the New York Police Department, Bernard Kerik earned over 100 decorations, including 30 medals for excellent, meritorious, and heroic service. I want to thank you for joining us today in the Stone Zone, and until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.